So, Ragiroth do.
Ragiroth Enterprises.
How's it going, everybody? Rich from Ragiroth Enterprises here. So now it's time for the real top 10 list of characters I'd like in the new Smash Brothers. Again, we don't know if it's a port or new game yet. I'm actually kind of leaning towards a new game now, which I am both terrified but excited for at the same time, if that is the case. Keep in mind, there's a lot of these are kind of, I guess, sort of general choices because in some cases I just couldn't really decide, and I know there'd probably only be like one of that character from that game. You'll understand when I go through it. And I actually have some honorable mentions because there's just a lot of possible characters I'd want in. So alright, here we go. Number 10, new Fire Emblem character. Now I love Fire Emblem. I'm glad it's starting to get characters and getting more popular. The reason it's so low is because, well, we got a lot in the last Smash Bros game. It was so much that a lot of people actually were getting pissed about it. Now, admittedly, I was totally fine with it. I do think maybe Corrin was pushing it a bit. Not because I don't like Corrin or Fates. Corrin is really cool. And I do like Fire Emblem Fates. I just think maybe at that point we should have just maybe added a character either from a game that doesn't have as many characters yet, or just a game that hasn't been represented at all. Not to mention, I guess I'm a little more of a fan of Elma, which is actually one of the characters I would really like. I would also be cool with. I would also really love for Black Knight to be in from Path of Radiance to Radiant Dawn. I've actually wanted him since Brawl, and I would really like for Fire Emblem to get a villain. The Fire Emblem villains seem to get the raw deal in terms of being playable. I think Black Knight is actually maybe the most famous or popular one, even if people don't even know the game is from, really. Or I think it would be kind of cool if it was someone from, one of the older ones that kind of missed the boat, like the Game Boy Advance or GameCube ones. I think Lynn would be cool. She could get promoted for being an assist trophy. I would love if Ephraim or Hector could be in it. We don't really have a Lance user or Axe user in Smash Brothers yet, at least not a pure one at least. I guess it could just be someone from the new game, but we don't know anything about that or when that's coming out, so that might be a little too far off. Maybe the main character from that would be DLC or something. But I don't know. Alright, anyway, number 9. Any of these Mario characters, namely Waluigi, King Boo, or Geno. I think I may be leaning towards Waluigi the most. He's a character I always really enjoy, and I don't understand why he's on Smash Brothers. What I usually hear is, oh, he's just a filler character in sports games, but he still kind of made a name for himself in those games, and you could actually kind of maybe use them as inspiration for his moveset. He could just have a really kind of crazy, wacky moveset. Or make him be a representative for WarioWare or something, I don't know. But he'd probably be one for Mario, because usually when he's in his trophy has the mushroom symbol for Mario. King Boo would be cool. I don't really know how he'd work, but I'd like him in the game. Geno is Geno's a character a lot of people really wanted. I think he would be pretty cool. I know he's very obscure, and he's on by Square Enix. Maybe they can make that work. I mean, he was a Mii outfit when Cloud was added, so I don't know. Maybe they'll finally go through with it. Any of them would be cool in my opinion. Any other Mario characters aside from them, I'd be kind of irritated about, to be honest. But alright, number 8, Shadow from the Sonic series. Now, I don't really think any of the third-party series that are in the game will get a second character, like maybe multiple characters per company, like Mega Man and Ryu from Capcom, and Sonic and possibly Bayonetta from Sega. I'm kind of confused with the whole Bayonetta ownership. However, I love Shadow. I would really just love to see him in a fighting game. Again, he was really, for any of those that played Sonic Battle, that was a pretty good game. He was in that, and his moveset was really cool. I think he'd have a really neat moveset in this. You already got his model, Shadow. I would just love to see him in a fighting game, and they just seem to be so against making a Sega fighting game, like a Sega Smash Bros. Kind of like game, so why not have him in this? I would also settle for Knuckles or Metal Sonic as well. I would just like Shadow the most. I think he did the most flashiest, possibly interesting moveset, contrary to what everyone says that he'd just be a clone. I think if anything he'd be a mix of like Sonic and like Mewtwo or something. But yeah, I don't think he has a very high chance. It's just, you know, something I personally like. Now for number 7. This is going to sound really, really redundant, but Black Shadow from F-Zero. The F-Zero games are pretty cool, and it's really a shame that they absolutely like refuse to make a new one. I don't know why. It'd be really cool. But for those that don't know, Black Shadow is one of the main villains from F-Zero. He's one of Captain Falcon's rivals. Yes, he does look like a bull version of Batman. That's one of the reasons why I think he's cool. He debuted in, I think, the N64 one, and yeah, and he was in the GameCube one as well. Now, he could have his own unique moveset, which would probably be a little hard to come up with. Or, they could kind of kill two birds with one stone. They could make Ganondorf finally be his own playable character. And they could give his clone moveset of Captain Falcon to Black Shadow. I think most of us would agree that would make a lot more sense. But they could maybe give Black Shadow like a couple unique moves. Like, I mean, he is a guy with horns. You could use them. Maybe like, you know, he mostly Ganondorf moveset, but he'd maybe have a couple different ones, and maybe the few moves that he wouldn't have Ganondorf could still have, like the Flame Choke, for instance. That's a fairly unique move for Ganondorf. That's like the one kind of unique one he has from that moveset, and I think he actually did do it in the games, maybe. So he could always keep that one, and, you know, the B4 to be something different for Black Shadow, like a charging move or something like that. Or maybe he gets in a really cool car, the Black Bull. But yeah, I've wanted Black Shadow since Brawl, and it's just a shame they're so against having another F-Zero character or another F-Zero game, God forbid. Samurai Goro is probably the most popular request. He'd be okay. I guess it would be kind of cool to have a samurai character. Not really my top choice for a samurai character, but I guess he'd be okay. I'd just prefer Black Shadow, and I think maybe he could help make Ganondorf's moveset a bit more unique indirectly. Okay, so number 6, assuming I'm saying his name right, Sachi from Sin and Punishment. Now, before Smash Bros Brawl, I had no idea who this guy was, or what the hell Sin and Punishment was. Sin and Punishment was an N64 game that originally only came out in Japan. Funnily enough, it actually had English voices though, but it actually got released on the eShop during the Wii era, so I and many others finally got to play it. It was a pretty cool game. I think Saki's a pretty cool character because, well, first of all, he has like a lightsaber gunblade. I think that's really enough right there. Yeah, a freaking lightsaber gunblade, really. And I know he can transform into, I forget, he had some transformation. I don't know, since he was an assist trophy, I always really wanted him in the game, though. I don't think it's ever going to happen because he's such an obscure niche character. I know Sin and Punishment did get a sequel on the Wii. It was like Star Successor or something like that. And I think one of the characters you played is, I think, Saki's like kid or something like that. But even then, it still didn't get a playable character. So I would even take one of them. I just think Saki's a little more. But I think that's all I can really say for him. All right, so number 5 is Rex from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Yeah, I think he is definitely one of the more likelier characters on this list. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a pretty cool game. I mean, I think pretty much any Xeno game is a pretty good game. Cool characters. I think he could definitely be interesting with the whole blade thing. He could maybe use Pyrrha, maybe he can use some other blades as well. I know weapon-wise he's a little similar to Shulk. But I think there's ways to work around that. He has his own kind of unique things going for him, like his diving thing, his hook thing, you know, the blade and the blades themselves fighting with him. I could maybe, I could see maybe sharing a couple things with Shulk, but not that much. I really hope Shulk stays, by the way. I'd be really mad if they take him out of the game. I think he will, though. I think if he doesn't make the base roster, he's definitely going to be DLC, only because Xenoblade Chronicles 2 might be a bit too new for when they started working on the game. But I heard Sakurai actually really liked the game. And I think he liked the first Xenoblade Chronicles as well, but he really liked this one. Yeah, I think that's all I can really say for Rex and probably Pyrrha. And I think at least she'll be fighting with him. moving on to number 4 is Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X. Now, in this case, I didn't feel like combining Rex and Elma because I want them both. They're both from 2 different games, even though they're from the same series. But the level I want them is kind of different. I actually kind of want Elma more. I think she's just a little cooler, and I think a little more different from Shulk than Rex is. It would be cool to have a dual wielder in terms of swords and guns. And like, yeah, you could have the main Avatar character from Xenoblade Chronicles X, and which would be okay too. But I don't know. I think Elma has a little more going for her, and I think the Avatar thing is getting a little out of hand. Like, I know they're cool, and I know it's a more common thing now, but it's like, you know, let's just take the actual characters in the game if they're around, please. I think she could use the Skell as well. I mean, a rhyme. Could probably be in her final Smash or something like that. And I mean, people are always talking about more female characters, and I think she's legitimately pretty cool. And I would really like Cosmos as well from Xenoblade Saga, but I just don't. I've always wanted her since like Smash Bros Brawl. I just don't think that's gonna happen. I know, because I think she's I don't know if she's owned by Namco, but I just don't think she's as. She could happen. I was actually thinking Cosmos was actually one of the blades you could get in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, so maybe she could just be one of Rex's blades. That would be amazing. That would definitely be better than nothing. I'd probably make me want to use Rex a lot more. Alright, so now moving on to number 3, another multiple character one. I would really like someone from Castlevania, namely Simon Belmont, Trevor Belmont, Alucard, or even Soma Cruz from the Aria of Sorrow and Dawn of Sorrow games. They'd all be awesome. I think we can pretty much agree that I think the one that'd be most likely would be Simon. He's the most iconic character of Castlevania. Actually, someone had an idea that Belmonts could actually, character could be Belmont or just Simon Belmont. It could be like a Bowser Jr. thing, where each different outfit or color is another Belmont. At least one of the whip-wielding ones. Like you could have Simon, Trevor, Leon, Richter, Julius. Basically that would be so cool. Alucard is actually my favorite character. He's actually one I would want the most. But I know, I understand Simon's more iconic. Not only that, we don't really have we do have a whip character, but we have a lot less whip characters than sword characters. And Soma would be awesome. He could use a bunch of different weapons and spells. I just don't think they would choose him because he's just not quite as iconic. Even though the games he's from are amazing. Dawn of Sorrow is probably my favorite Castlevania game. But here's kind of the problem with Castlevania. It's owned by Konami. And I don't know what happened with this company. I don't know what happened with them, why they're being the way they are now. The whole Kojima thing, and the Pachinko thing, and the bullcrap. I just don't know if they'd be willing to, let Nintendo use their characters. And I feel like with Kojima gone, that's kind of a big link that Sakurai, because Sakurai and Kojima are friends, that's why Snake was in Brawl, for those that don't know. It was a big link, I think, between Nintendo and Konami. He could have talked to Sakurai and made it like, hey, we have a Castlevania character in Smash Bros. As well. That definitely wouldn't happen now, but I don't know. I mean, Castlevania did get a Netflix series, and it's like, why would they be okay with letting their characters get like a TV show, but not be in another video game, a very big video game that's basically a big advertisement? And Castlevania is a really iconic Nintendo series, or series that started Nintendo at least, that still doesn't have a character in Smash Bros. So that is disappointing right there. But yeah, I hope maybe somehow they work things out and we get someone from Castlevania. Yeah, I would take any of them at this point. But alright, moving on to number 2. Okay, this is probably going to be the most in-depth one. I would just like some new character from freaking Metroid. Namely, Ridley, Dark Samus, and or Psylux, assuming I'm saying his name right. Now, in regards to Ridley, I've basically given up on him. being a Ridley fan and wanting him in this game is basically the equivalent of being a Spawn fan and wanting him in like anything. It just sucks and it just does not want to seem to happen. Actually, I would say being a Ridley fan is maybe worse because Spawn has at least been playable in things. I think as long as Sakurai is at the helm, it's not going to happen. He just seems very stubborn about not wanting to try to make Ridley work, even though there have been modders that have made him work in pretty reasonable ways for the most part that I think pro game designers could do an even better job. Or if maybe he's in Metroid Prime 4 and he's in a way that maybe he's smaller or something. I don't know. Like if they just made him like in a game where he's like Bowser size in Smash Brothers, he'd probably be good. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't even know if he's gonna be in Metroid Prime 4 to be honest. So yeah, that's all I can really say about Ridley. I'm always gonna want him in the game, but I don't think it's ever gonna happen with Sakurai being the in charge of the game. So, but let's talk about Dark Samus and Psylocke. Now, Dark Samus is from the Metroid Prime games. She debuted in 2, well, I guess the true ending of 1. She, in Brawl, she was, I think, just a trophy. Smash 4, though, however, she was an assist trophy. And most people think, oh, she would just be a clone of Samus. Not really. If anything, Dark Samus fights more like Mewtwo, I would say, than Samus. And the couple of things she does as an assist trophy is nothing like Samus does, especially that tentacle wall thing or whatever. And, you know, yeah, it's like, I mean, I think most of us would like a character from Metroid that isn't Samus. And technically Dark Samus isn't Samus. Like, yeah, I know her name is Samus, and she does look a lot like her, but she's not really, or it's not really. She's actually Metroid Prime. It's like Metroid Prime absorbing parts of Samus's suit or whatever. I forget how exactly it turned into Dark Samus. And Dark Samus could be in Metroid Prime 4. I don't know if or she will be, because I think at the end of Metroid Prime 3, you know, Samus kind of finished her off, but, you know, anything could happen. I would definitely be happy with Dark Samus, and I think, and we've had a couple characters kind of get promoted from support roles to playable roles, with Charizard being a Pokeball Pokemon in Smash, in the original, I think in Smash 64, no, I think he was in the Saffron City in Smash 64, then he was a Pokeball Pokemon, then he got promoted in Brawl and he was playable, and then Smash 4 he was just his own character instead of being part of, you know, Pokemon Trainer. And then probably more in Dark Samus' case, there was Little Mac, who was an assist trophy in Smash Bros Brawl, who was made playable in Smash 4. Now, admittedly, I think Little Mac is a little bit of a different league than Dark Samus. He is a very iconic character. He's the main character from a very iconic old game, and that got a new game, you know, not that long ago. You know, fair enough, but even still, my point is that characters can, if they're support characters, that doesn't mean they'll always be support characters. Now, lastly, let's talk about Psylocke. For those that don't know Psylocke is a hunter that debuted in Metroid Prime Hunters. There was other playable hunters that were after Samus. They were playable in multiplayer mode, and I know you fought them throughout the single player mode. Honestly, I was not that crazy about hunters as a game. I did, however, like the other hunters. I actually probably would have liked the game more if you actually got to play as the hunters in single player mode. I don't know if Psylocke was my favorite of the hunters, however, he has been pushed easily the most out of all of them. I think he had the most fights in Hunters. He was in I think the true ending of Metroid Prime 3, like you saw a ship or something like that, and it was confirmed to actually be his ship. He was, I think you see his like arm or something, and you know, the true ending of Metroid Prime Federation Force. He has been teased a lot to possibly, you know, come back in a future game. Most people think Metroid Prime 4. And while Psylocke is probably not the most iconic or recognizable, you know, at least compared to Ridley and less so Dark Samus, he does not have a size issue, I'll put it that way. He looks and would probably fight nothing like Samus. So it's very, very few similarities there. And he might be, you know, in a new game coming out. And for those, I think he uses, if I remember correctly, he uses like a lot of electric-based attacks, and he could turn into his, like, he has his, all the hunters have their own morph ball forms. They don't really look anything like morph balls. This is called like lockjaw or something. He could maybe even use his ship or something, like maybe this Super Smash like Samus does or something like that. We don't really have, after Pikachu, we've never really gotten, and Pichu, we've never really gotten like a purely electric-based character in Smash Brothers. I think it'd be really cool to see another one, especially because I'm a sucker for, electric powers. The idea of him fighting like Pikachu is funny, but no, I don't think he would play anything like Pikachu aside from using electric-based attacks. So yeah, I would be fine with any of them. Just please, for the love of God, just give us another Metroid character. Like, please, we got Samus Returns and it's getting Metroid Prime 4. Isn't that enough to like deserve something new? And that's the thing, Psylocke, because of Metroid Prime 4 being a ways off, probably come out after the new Smash Brothers game. They might not want to put him in, but he could actually have a good shot as DLC though. He could be kind of like Corrin was in Smash 4. The thing is with him, he's actually an existing character before Metroid Prime 4 though. But okay, so now I got a few honorable mentions. They are Masked Man or Claus from Mother 3, Bass from Mega Man, Urbosa or Rivali or Mipha, I think that's her name, Sidon or Girahim from the Zelda series. It would be nice to have one of those characters, some new Zelda character. Or Isaac from Golden Sun. Now, for my number one choice, I gotta have that drum roll, Wolf from Star Fox. Yeah, that list might have been a joke, but not every choice on it was a joke. Star Fox is one of my favorite Nintendo series, and Wolf is my favorite character from it. When he was in Brawl, I was over the moon. I was so thrilled, and it was pretty intense because he wound up being the last character we found out about. And he also wound up being like my best character. So I was pretty heartbroken to see that he didn't make it in Smash 4, and it was even more heartbreaking that he still didn't make it in, even with DLC, and then bringing back veterans that are missing from the game, and even some that were kind of clones, like Wolf, they had Lucas and Roy, but not Wolf. So it really sucked, and and for what it's worth, Star Fox has gotten a new game, since Smash 4 now, Star Fox Zero. Now I know it was maybe not the most well received. Unfortunately, Star Fox just hasn't caught on a break lately. But even still, I think it's sort of enough, and it also, I think, kind of maybe gives Wolf a bit more to work with, at least in terms of Final Smash. He could get in the ship, and turn into like the Wolf mode, or he could do the Lightning Tornado move. I think he does in the one boss fight against him in Star Fox Zero. So there is that. I don't know how. I think the reason I'm worried about it not being a port is I feel like they'll want to just add up only new characters, not return. Maybe like Ice Climbers would be the one exception, because like they only got cut because of the system limitations with the 3DS and all that, and just because they're they're the main characters of their games and they're fully unique, unlike Wolf, and they've been around since Melee. But I'd like to say he has an okay shot. I don't know if it's gonna be the base game or the DLC. I feel like he'll be kind of like the Mewtwo of the game, or he'll be one of the, or at least maybe the Roy, or Lucas, I guess, where he is one of the veterans that's pushed through DLC at least. I just don't know about the base game. I really think they should just add him back in the base game. Obviously, my number one pick, but yeah, I know it's kind of a boring pick, with all the new characters, but it's like he's like my favorite character from Smash Brothers, and he got taken out. I just really would like him back, and it would just be nice to have all the Star Fox characters back again. Because I really like using Falco too, and occasionally I like using Fox. But Wolf is my favorite one, and he's more unique than Falco was than Fox. So yeah, here's hoping he gets in. Maybe get a Metroid character and all that. But let me know what you guys think about my list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? If you disagree, tell me some characters you want. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. It's a free country. Don't forget to check out Marking Art in the description below. And as I always say, another time, another place. Keep being awesome.